Do you have this strong intuitive feeling that you are just destined to build a business and a life that stands out amongst the rest, but you just don't know how to get there? I feel you, I've been there, and I can see that you are another fellow flamingo just waiting to take flight. My name is Megan Shallow, social media guru and founder of B&L Media Consulting, and this is exactly what I have done through building my own beautiful empire that has become a unicorn in the social media management world, as well as a safe space for entrepreneurs to feel empowered with their digital marketing. All of this was founded on the basis of 3 magical words: breathe, nourish, and love. Are you ready to learn how to be that entrepreneur who shows up online and offline with confidence, has a business that makes an impact in this world, and lives a life full of connection, love, prosperity, and joy? If the answer is yes, then let's go. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Fly Flamingo Fly with the founder of B&L, me, Megan Shallow. It is great to be here, and I always try to plan out my podcasts and see I'm going to schedule this out, and this is what I'm going to talk about every single month. And it never works out that way. It's interesting because I love to think I can plan, but the world always has different opportunities to chat, and I'm feeling really called to discuss grief in this episode, and not in the sense that one would figure. I mean, we think about grief and we consider that being something that we do when someone passes away, and that definitely is the case, and I can full on feel that. But as I've continued to grow B&L, I've realized that grief has come in more than a few times in my business as I continue to grow, and in multiple ways. And it hits a little bit differently. It's not that depth that occurs or that I have felt with grief when I've lost someone that was close to me, but it still has that same heaviness and that same process of those 5 stages of grief: anger, sadness, and I don't even know how to list all of them right now. They're not coming to me, but I can see the feeling. And that's something that I want to talk about because no one talks about that in business. As you continue to grow and create something new, you're grieving the old. And B&L has gone through some pretty significant changes in the last year and even in the last few months. And grief has sat really heavy for me in some unique ways. And so I'm bringing that forward today. So welcome. And so what I want to start with is just how I move through it. B&L has started as just me. And as I continued to grow, I had to grieve that loss of that small business that I had that was just mine, and everyone wanted to be me and have my support. And I was doing all of the things. And as soon as that was taken away, there was this level of loss that I felt when it wasn't just mine anymore. And in order to move through it, I had to really consider how I would move forward without it and think about who I was and adjust my identity and separate that from the loss of that old identity. And it's hard. It's something that I never anticipated. I thought the journey of entrepreneurialism, even if it's hustle and bustle and highs and lows, I never thought it would bring me to the emotions that it has. And what's helped me ground myself every single time I lose a client or I lose a staff member or a contractor or an old version of the business that's now transforming into a new one is really having to go back to myself and think about where was I attaching to this in order to enhance my own identity. It's a different type of grief, because it's losing a connection of some kind that fueled something in me in order to make me feel whole. And it's not necessary. It wasn't necessary. And it's not necessary anymore. So when that staff member leaves or that client leaves, it's just meant to be. It's the timing. It has to happen in order for us to grow and move forward and allow new adventurous things to come in. but at the same time, it sucks because you had hope that it would work out and they made you feel a certain way or they were super fun to work with. It was a relationship of some kind. And everything, as I have been taught within my space of living in balance, is everything is a relationship and can be a relationship if you're ready to hold it like that. And I really do. I even hold, like right now, I'm doing social media management support to help staff. And I really love the connections I make with the community. And they have no idea that it's me. They think it's our client, and they're connected to the brand. But I have that relationship with them as the brand, representing the brand. And that really fills me up. And so when those pieces get cut, we have to take a moment to grieve. And I think that's one thing that in business maybe doesn't happen. And then you don't get to move forward. You just kind of stay stuck. And so recognizing when there is that loss and taking the time to grieve. August, I would say, was definitely that time for me. A lot of things shifted. A lot of things changed. We adjusted structures. We brought in new people. We had to release some people. We lost some clients, but then we brought in some new ones. And it was a time of stillness for me. I felt a little paralyzed. That's the approach that I take when I get hit with a bound of grief. Whether that's in personal relationships or professional, I kind of got hit on all angles. Romantic, friends, business, it all hit me at once at the end of August, and I froze for a bit. And I love fight, flight, or freeze. Those three options are great. Sometimes I wish I had a little bit more movement in mine when I get to the point of change where I kind of panic. And that I realized I thought I was stressed, and I wasn't stressed. I was grieving. I was losing a lot of what I thought I wanted, but then I was starting to up level, and those things no longer were going to serve me. So I had to take the moment to release it and to let it go. And I didn't like it. I don't love the change, but I also love the change. And I hope anyone entrepreneurs here can understand that. This is definitely a free flow conversation. I'm not sure how much this will land for anyone, but I hope some pieces of it do. With the grieving process, when it comes to yourself and grieving the things that no longer serve you inwardly, taking pause is key. Most people I find continue to go the day to day and ebb and flow, and they'll grow, but they don't reflect on where they were and how far they've come in order to see why it's so important to let go of that old stuff. For me, I used to hang on really tightly. I am very well known of having like an anxious attachment style to many things. And I remember I used to cry when I had clients leave. Now that doesn't happen because I know that new ones are coming in and the universe is working in magical ways to bring in awesome things. But I've really had to navigate that style of anxious attachment, wanting to hold on tightly to everything that makes me happy and not wanting it to leave, and being so scared that it's going to leave that I strangle it until it's gone, or I have anxiety attacks out the yin yang in order to navigate the potential loss. Like I think about losing something before it's even stuck around. And so that's a piece to work on for me, as like that's why the grief used to hit so hard every time I grew. And it still hits a little bit harder because there are elements of BNL that I just love so much and can't imagine changing, but know that the Instagram and Facebook world and TikTok and everything else, they are going to consistently change, and I'm going to have to change with them, and the team is going to have to change with them. And stepping into that role of not letting the grief take me out, but still taking the moment to breathe and reflect and allow it to release has been extremely important in order to move forward and grow my business. I think the grieving moments have been the most powerful for me to get to BNL to where it is now. And I can only imagine in order to get to the goal of having 100 employees, I am going to have to grieve over and over and over again as we continue to make these changes. And so this has been my beginning of September. This has been, it was wild. There was a lot that happened, and I didn't feel like I got to really feel it, but it's starting to land. At the end of the first week of September, it was a wild, wild time. There was a lot going on. And I forgot how busy that first week of September is when you are working in the marketing world with entrepreneurs. All of a sudden, everyone's awake and ready to rock and roll. But I am still coming out of my summer slumber. And we had to make a lot of decisions really quickly because BNL wanted to grow. And I was like, okay, so this old model's not working anymore. Let's shift it. And I held on for dear life, haven't slept that well, but I have been journaling a lot, and I've been moving through all of these things. I'm about to move out of my apartment, which is another level of grief that I've had to deal with. And so life is a bunch of milestones of change that need to be grieved. And that's something that I really want to hone in on is every time something changes, it's not bad because it's meant for you, but you need to take the time to feel that grief so it doesn't get stuck. That's something that I really wish for everyone to do, whether you're a business owner or not. Change happens all the time, and change is moving you forward into something so much more powerful. But that reflection piece is key in order to realize why this change is happening and allowing you to get to that next level of where your life is meant to be. Grieving your old apartment when you finally bought a house, grieving your pup if he's no longer a puppy and he's now an adult, grieving the loss of a partner that maybe was a long-term relationship that no longer is in your life, grieving that first date that didn't go very well and had a lot of hope attached to it, grieving that client that you have had for so long and you gave so much for probably not a similar value in cash exchange, but then they leave you instantly, with no questions asked and no thank you. All of these pieces need a moment to slow down, grieve, and find a reason. Find a reason for the change. That makes the change so much more exciting. It makes the change so much more palatable, and it makes the change smooth sailing. It allows it to move forward in a way that it's meant to without any sort of putting on the brakes so that you're stalled out. Because as we're moving through life and as we're moving through growing a business, we never want to stall out. And that's something that now that I have employees, I'm not allowed to stall out, because if I do, they do. And everything comes to a halt and no one's feeling safe. And so I don't stall out. I have to do the things. I have to pull the cards. I have to write in the journal. I have to talk with my acupuncturist, and I have to go do all of these things so that I can continue to move forward and not stall and move through the feelings that are getting me stuck and not allowing me to step into the leadership role in my business, but also my life. So grief, it's a thing. It happens all the time, but it doesn't happen to the depth that we usually anticipate, so we're not sure that it's happening. But every time something is changing in your life, make sure to take a moment and grieve what's changing, what's no longer moving forward with you. I'm a huge fan of doing this on birthdays. But every single time a moment of change is coming and causing any sort of disruption or anxiety or overwhelmed feeling, it's a good thing. It means you're growing. It means you're moving forward, and things that no longer are meant for you are staying in the past. And that's a good thing. So what questions I could ask you to think about as you ponder during this little ramble, or after this ramble, is what can you do to grieve, to take a moment to feel the grief when you're moving through a life change? Could be as simple as different types of meals that you're making that's causing you frustration. I don't know. But where can you take moments to grieve so that emotion doesn't get stuck and that you can continue to feel as much as you possibly can throughout your life and feel all the emotions on an entire spectrum and continue to feel the love and the joy and the happiness and the excitement and the gratitude rather than having that heavy grief sit stuck. Like for me, grief sits right in my chest. I can feel it, and in my throat. I can even feel it now as I've been sharing this. Things are getting stuck. But that is what you don't want. You want to keep releasing that so you can continue to speak your truth, show up authentically as you are, and continue to build the magical life that you're meant to be. So taking the moments to grieve, I challenge you to do that more and more so that change becomes an exciting thing and an opportunity for self-reflection rather than an overwhelming thing that you no longer want to do, and then you stay stuck and stalled out exactly where you're at. You deserve the life that you want. Everything that you want is available to you if you continue to move forward towards your dreams and allowing yourself to feel absolutely every single emotion that comes towards you, no matter what, even if it's negative or perceived as negative, or if it has been perceived as negative in the past. It is not because it's serving you right now in order to release and let go so that you can move forward and fly into the world that you want. So that's it for me. A little ramble around grief and what ideas were coming forward as I moved through this last month and a bit. And I will continue to grieve the loss of my apartment that I scaled my business in when I when I rented this apartment, 1 bedroom, 1 bath. I had 3, 4, 5 contractors, and I really didn't have any sort of team of any kind, no employees. And now BNL has grown into a multi-6-figure company, making multiple 5 figures a month, and all running from this beautiful corner that I am looking at right now in my living room with this desk. And it's doubled in this apartment. And I'm really excited for that. And I'm grateful for this apartment, for everything that it's allowed me to do. And I've done a lot of healing here. A lot of emotions have moved through in this apartment. And so I am grieving that now. And over the next week or so, as I move out, that's where my energy is. And I look forward to showing you my new apartment when I get one. But first, a trip to Thailand to complete this chapter. I wanted to build a business that allowed me to travel back to the place that I really discovered myself and who I was as a human being. And now the time has come because I have 15 employees, all full-time, helping and supporting BNL. And that is something I did not have at all before I came into this apartment. So for that, I am really grateful. And I grieve the loss of that old story that I had to do it all myself, because I don't. And I am learning that every single day. And I am beyond grateful for every single BNL unicorn that has allowed me to get here. So that is it. That is my thoughts for today. The next episode will be an educational one, something around social media, and I can't wait to share it with you. And I hope you have an amazing day. Take the time to consider where change is occurring and what you can grieve in order to move forward. I hope that it goes really well. And if you ever have any questions, thoughts, ideas, or even want to request a podcast episode theme, I am happy to connect. You can find me over at BNL Social on Instagram, and myself or one of the BNL unicorns will be able to direct you to exactly where we need you to go. Leave a review, post a comment, happy to connect, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Fly Flamingo Fly with BNL. We are so grateful you stopped by, and we hope that something from today's conversation ignited the inspiration you were looking for so that you can keep moving forward towards the life of your dreams. This podcast was produced by BNL Media Consulting with the amazing help of Podigy Podcasts. We'd love to hear your takeaways from this episode, so be sure to leave us a review, as well as give us a follow on Instagram at BNL Social. If you need any help with your social media marketing, feel free to visit our website at www.bnlmediaconsulting.com, and we would be more than happy to support you. We hope you have an amazing day, and we cannot wait to connect with you again next time. Have a good one, everyone.